Good morning and a warm welcome to the press conference on the occasion of the Security Essen 2022. Great to have you here with us, either here in this room or digitally connected. Several of the guests are joining us digitally, and it's great to have you here with us. My name is Matthias Wagman, and I'm have the honor of guiding you through the next 60 minutes during which Security Essen is going to be the focus, just like topics which are of interest to the industry currently. We have a couple of guests who we're going to talk to. We also have some organizational information. All the material for this press conference is in the press kit and available in English on our website and the live stream. We have several English-speaking guests who applied, who registered, and you will also get the information. Our official part also includes question and answer sessions. We will address individual questions as well, and this is something we're going to do after these three talks. For this, we have a special time session. Please send us your questions, and we will get them after the official part. Now, so much for organizational information. The Security Essen is going to start. The host is also very excited about this, and I would like to welcome the first speaker, and that's the host, the Managing Director of Messe Essen, Oliver Kurt. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We are delighted. Security Essen Messe Trade Fair is excited to welcome you, either here in the room or joining us through the internet. Delighted to be able to organize the event. We're looking forward to the event. All of you have heard that the Messe platform, communication platform. Sorry, there's a lot of interference in the room. The speech cannot be interpreted with the sound quality.
Und von daher freuen wir uns, dass wir mit rund 400 Ausstellern aus 36 Nationen die Möglichkeit haben, dieses Thema auch wirklich vollumfänglich zu spielen. Wir haben auch tolle Namen dabei.
We have exciting people here.
Ist ja hier heute selber Teil dieser Pressekonferenz als ein Global Player mit Salto Systems, Hannibal, Theologen und viele andere. Insbesondere auch Startups, weil aus dieser Branche, aus der Sicherheitsbranche heraus tagtäglich eigentlich neue, gute Ideen sich entwickeln und wir auch froh sind, dass wir hier eine Plattform bieten. Sie haben ja ein paar vielleicht auch hier schon als Innovationsimpulsgeber im Foyer sehen dürfen, dass sich dieses Jahr alles bei uns in Essen vom 20. bis zum 23. in halb 5 bis 8 abspielt. Und wir haben auch ich glaube hier auf der Folie sehen Sie es auch, die Zuordnung, das Clustern in Dienstleistungen, Zutritt, Mechatronik, Mechanik, Systeme, in meinem Bereich Perimeter, natürlich Video, Brandeinbruchssysteme und auch ganz wichtig, immer stärker sich entwickelt Digital Networking Security. Und ist es wirklich für mich, der jetzt auch schon diese Messe, auch die Security seit 2014 mitbegleiten darf, unfassbar interessant zu sehen.
It's very interesting.
Auch Innovationen. Früher haben wir Security, als ich mal angefangen habe, gesagt, ja, das ist irgendwie Bahnschlüssel, da schließt halt ab. Das war so der Ursprung. Aber wenn man sieht, welche Technik, welche Wissenschaft hinter dieser Branche steckt, dann ist es für mich auch immer wieder ein Highlight, hier diese Innovation auf dieser Plattform zu sehen. Aber ich will auch Herrn Schmidt beispielsweise von Salto und auch Herrn Meiswinkel von Advancis, also zwei absolute Top-Experten, die hier auch nicht vorweggreifen, die sicherlich mehr dann noch berichten werden. Also, es ist neben der Klassenmesse auch ein sehr informatives Programm, was wir vermitteln wollen in diesen Tagen. Neu ist in diesem Jahr die Digital Networking Security Konferenz, am ersten und auch am zweiten Messetag. Hier werden also Experten vernetzte Sicherheit in den Fokus nehmen und zeigen zum Beispiel, das ist auch wieder spannend, so ein Lifehack, wie funktioniert das eigentlich, wie anfällig sind Systeme hierfür, was kann man dort tun, also wer es nicht glaubt, der kann es dann auch hier tatsächlich mit live erleben. Dann haben wir das Brandschutzforum, ganz wichtig auch, am 22. und 23. September. Großes
We also have the fire protection
und die Bekämpfung. Dann das Security Experts Forum in Halle 6. Da geht es täglich um Produktinnovation, Praxiserfahrung und am zweiten Messetag findet dann zum ersten Mal der Behörden- und CSU-Tag statt. Wir freuen uns sehr, dass wir als Ehrengast Nordrhein-Westfalens Innenminister Herbert Reul begrüßen dürfen, der hier sich die Zeit nimmt, auch auf der Veranstaltung zu sein und hier auch nochmal ein klares Signal setzt, und er wird das Lagebild Wirtschaftsschutz vorstellen. Und dann, und das ist auch wichtig, die Internationalität, die hat bei der Security auch immer auch eine Rolle gespielt. Wir haben sehr viele angemeldete internationale Gäste. Zum Beispiel hat sich die UN-Einkäufer, eine UN-Einkäuferdelegation angekündigt, die hier den ganzen Tag verbringen werden. ETRA ist dabei, der internationale Einzelhandelsverband, der hier mit seinen Mitgliedern einmarschiert, wenn ich mal so sagen darf, auch eine Tour über das Gelände macht. Und wir haben auch dann wieder den Benelux-Tag am 21. September. Wichtig ist, und das zeigt sich, wie wichtig es in diesen Zeiten ist, wir haben auch gerade hier parallel die SK, die Sanität und Klima, aber auch 2000 Schüler auf dem Gelände. Nachwuchs ist auch in der Sicherheitsbranche ein ganz, ganz großes Thema. Da freue ich mich, wenn Herr Graf gleich noch was sagen wird zu diesem Thema. Also nur schon mal darauf hingewiesen, am ersten Messetag, der Tag der Aus- und Weiterbildung.
Also wenn wir es kurz zusammenfassen, die Gäste erwarten ein prall befülltes
Der Kollege hat jetzt noch mal was erstellt.
Eine Frage sei mir aber erlaubt an dieser Stelle.
So let me ask a question in this connection. What is the market saying? You've prepared so much. Is security really such a relevant topic currently? Yes, we already thought last time that security will definitely be one of the most active industries, regardless of the difficult situation globally that we're faced with. Defense. Well, we thought sorry, we have a lot of feedback in the room.
Now
you addressed Mr. Graf, and that in order to take stock, data and figures are important, but we'd also like to welcome Florian Graf, the head of the BDSW. Thank you for being here. Mr. Kurt had some unwanted guests recently, and I'm going to visit some exhibitors in the foyer outside who make sure that you are prepared against such unwanted guests in your house. Now let's get back to data and facts. When we talk about the markets, what is the current situation of the market? Well, I can only say that IT security and security services were one of the drivers. We, in this period, compared to 2019, that is the year before the COVID virus, we have increased our sales considerably. and we are now at several billions, and 250,000 people are working in this industry. And one of the reasons for this is that we also carried out other jobs that we didn't used to do in the past. And security is important, yes it is, and it's especially visible, and services in the private industry are making a huge contribution to this. Well, since we have the managing director of Messe Essen here, for example, we just heard from Mr. Graf that the pandemic has made a considerable contribution to changing the industry. Now let's take the trade fair in Essen as an example. Have there been any changes with regard to the demand for security at Messe Essen? Yes, the first thing that I can think of is digitalization. These are processes that are very elaborate, that have a huge impact on security. For instance, the selling of tickets, live streams, the possibility of digital work. All of this is making a huge impact, and together with our security service providers, we are ensuring that these events can be prepared in a secure way. We always have to be aware of the fact that such an event like this one can be hacked, and digitalization is definitely one of the most important topics here. Yes, so there is a need for security, and I do have the impression that the industry should be in a pretty good situation, Mr. Graf. Now, what is the current situation of the industry? Are there some challenges you are faced with? Well, we've proven that we are crisis-proof, we are growing, but this also involves various challenges, and as Mr. Kurz said, quality is a topic. Demands with regard to quality are rising. We have 265,000 employees, 5,000 more than in the previous year, but still about 11,500 vacant positions. For our companies, the focus is now on attracting qualified staff. That's a major challenge. Of course, we're hearing a lot about that, but also here in the area of security. So we don't only want to talk about challenges and problems, but also about solutions. What are the approaches that you have? How do you want to solve these problems? As we just said, for the 5th time, we're going to have the Day of Education and Training. The Minister of Education is the sponsor, and together with the trade fair, the Messe Essen, we want to use the possibility to show the wide range of jobs that are involved in this, that this industry includes. We want to provide prospects for the future, career prospects, and we also have a special day, the Day of Training and Education on the 20th of September. Mr. Kurt is very happy about that. I can see that on his face. Messe Essen is going to play a very special role in this context. As Messe Essen, how do you see yourself with regard to the reaching of targets? We want to provide the platform needed in order to bring all the stakeholders together, contacts, cooperation partners, business partners. If you're looking for that, if you're looking for personal exchange, we are very happy that we can provide you with a platform. Social contacts, new impetus, that's us. That's the Security Trade Fair. Just thinking about a lack of skilled labor, that's an extremely important topic. And for instance, in the industry, at the trade fair that is currently being held in the other hall, this is the trade fair associated with heating systems, etc. That's an area where this is extremely important as well. But we will have experts talking about security, and we're going to have conference days. all the aspects of this industry is going to be reflected during the Messe, during the Security Trade Fair. You're well advised to stay with us. IT security, connected systems is what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But first of all, thank you, Mr. Kurt and Mr. Graf, for the first talk.
So this means we are going to continue right away with the next topic, which is IT security. This is also a topic that's of interest to you at home. On the screens, we spend a lot of time in working from home. Data security is very important, and I'm very pleased to welcome our next expert, Markus Wagemann of ISB, the Federal Association. It's nice to have you here. And he did his best to be here this morning, and it was really a challenge to make it here. It's nice to have you here. And we have someone who's connected to us digitally, Jan Meiswinkel. He is connected online. He's the Managing Director of Advancis Software and Services, GmbH. Hey, good morning, Mr. Meiswinkel. Good morning. And my apologies for not being there in person. It doesn't really matter if we have the representatives of the press here or if you're at home, you're all here by heart. And we take everything into account, and we have prepared some questions that hopefully are interesting to you, and there will be a Q&A session afterwards, and you can use the opportunity then to ask questions, of course. Markus, let's start with the challenges. I enjoyed speaking about challenges and not beat around the bush. But what are the challenges the industry is facing when it's about IT and connected systems? This is a very important topic, cybersecurity, and the awareness that is needed to train the people so that they recognize the dangers and can tell what dangers are there. We can't turn everybody into an expert, but it's very important for the people to be aware. When I did my driving license, it was impossible to switch gear, turn around, and after 2 months, I had enough training to do it. And in security, it's similar. The mindset is similar. There is a kind of automatism that is installed. For instance, when an email comes in that seems suspicious, you scan through it. So awareness, mindset. You already illustrated it a bit, but I love tangible things. What kind of damages can you think of? What damage can you think of, and what amount can this amount to? You just have to look it up online. The Bitkom study of 2021, it was also in the newspapers. It's quoted most frequently. We all have seen the number of 223 billion euros in Germany alone in 2020, 2021. These are accumulated numbers. And I would like to use this number a bit because it's easy to read, okay, 223 billion and then case closed. No, you have to imagine if it's 223 with 9 digits of 0, and if you want to imagine that in more practical terms, for instance, if you live in the Ruhrgebiet area, if you take the 500 euro notes, and if you have 1 million of these notes, if you wanted to put them on top of each other 2,000 times, that would lead you to 22 centimeters of height. And if it's 1 billion, it's 220 meters, made of 500 euro notes. So if you wanted to put them next to each other, that would be from here to Mönchengladbach. It's 49 kilometers of length. Only 500 euro notes put next to each other. So just to give you an idea of the sheer amount, we are at Messe Essen. And this is the exhibition area, 110,000 square meters and 20,000 square meters of open area. So we could put all the 500 euro notes on the premises of the trade fair in 45 layers on top of each other to have this amount to 223 billion. I mean, just imagine that. This is an absurdly high amount. which is caused by ransomware attacks, phishing activities, etc., and let alone the human factor. And the Chamber of Commerce lately published it, was attacked, and another authority, the governmental authorities, etc. And it's very important to say that these amounts cannot be avoided fully, but you can reduce the number if you train the people. So that was very illustrative. Thank you very much. An A+ as a grade. And we will not all be able to have 220 meters of 500 euro notes as a stack, but it's easy to imagine that way. And we're not only talking about a lot of money, we are also talking about a lot of data, a huge amount of data which is growing, and we're talking about sensitive data, amongst other things. And data also plays a very important role when we're talking about the physical security. And Jan Meiswinkel is coming into play here, and Advancis, his company. Mr. Meiswinkel, just to give us an idea, so that we all know what Advancis do. Can you make a statement? What do you do? We are a software company. For 30 years, we've been working with connected systems, system integration of building technology, communication technology, and we are merging all the systems in one platform. When we built it in first time in 1994, we called it a management system, and the aim is to make the data available at the connected devices, and the devices can be manifold. All the IoT devices, we want to collect the data there and process the data and make it available to the operator, to the human being. And of course, the data that's generated there isn't only worthwhile protecting, but it's also valuable for our customers, because they can improve their processes. So management of data management is crucial. Big data is something everybody is talking about. In order to illustrate your work, you mentioned the growing data volume. You also see that in building security. How do you view the future, and what is the importance of AI, which is so important at this point? It's a very exciting topic. If I may, I'd like to elaborate on that a bit. We took the data, we collected the data in the past and used it to give to make the operator aware of a burglary, for instance, etc. Many different scenarios. That was the aim. And 99% of the data that was available in theory was left unused. And today it is our claim to also evaluate the data above and beyond the original purpose. And we are a 120 staff company. We can't invest in all the different areas, but we are participating in different research projects on big data, data mining, and AI. And we want to contribute with what we are really good at. And we want to focus on collecting the data, harmonizing the data, and we pass it on to data services. And there's a very interesting research project underway we are also involved in. We're part of this very important project. And the data that we provide in a harmonized way is processed through AI, and then it's delivered back to us. We receive a feedback based on this information so that the operator can be supported. So the human being is still in control, but AI will support the operator with information, be it on predictive maintenance and other events that might occur and need to be predicted. This is our approach. So all I can say, well, all you say could also be used against you. You just mentioned SPELL, the research project. And can you say us a little bit more about this project? Who are the project partners and what is your role in this project, so that we can illustrate it a little bit more? Yes, of course, I'll be pleased to do so. SPELL consists of a consortium of many partners, and it's driven by the AI research industry. But we're also talking about real hardware partners, from safety, from control center technology, etc. And there are the public control centers and the areas we are in, the critical involved in the critical infrastructure. So whenever a lot of information is stored in an isolated manner, like silos, BDSW is not connected to Henkel, for instance. They're all acting individually. And SPELT is a semantic platform for wants to take this isolated data, wants to harmonize it, and the data can then be processed further and can be made available to the authorities. So that in a critical situation, for instance, in the case of a disaster, natural disaster, for instance, or other situations, this data can be used. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the German Research Center for AI, isn't that? Yes, exactly. DFKI, they have the lead. It's fascinating. This project is really fascinating. And we are able to make the data available. And now the exciting stage is coming, because the question is, what are we going to do with the data? And the question is, what will be delivered by the AI? What feedback will we get? That can be used for human purposes. So this is forward-looking. This points towards the future, and we're talking about the German Research Center for AI. So the question is, what about the future? How can the future be more secure? And I'd love to give this question to Markus Wagmann. How can it be implemented in future, and how can we make sure that the security of the connected systems is guaranteed? We've mentioned the topic of awareness, training, further training already. This is very dear to my heart personally. And yesterday something happened. A friend of mine, he teaches at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Düsseldorf for 35 former trainees who will be master craftsmen, for instance, anytime soon. They will have a leadership position. And they asked me to give a presentation, an impulse, a keynote on cybersecurity. And out of the 35 people, one person knew what a phishing mail is, and the others didn't know about the potential problems that might occur. And this shows that we have a huge deficit, and that there is such a deficit, and we need to really train the people. And of course, you might be saying it was the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. What does crafts have to do with IT? I mean, all the small service providers or craftsmen also have to deal with this topic of cybersecurity. I mean, where the internet was invented in 1985, they did tests themselves, PEN tests, in one of the leading institutes. And they entered all their logon data after receiving a phishing mail. So they fell into the trap. And this is something we really need to discuss no matter where you are. Occupational safety, for instance, maybe in this connection you can install obligatory mandatory training measures once per year in order to point out to the most dangerous situations and the highest risks. And the aim is to show that there are just a couple of factors you have to take into account. Where does the email come from? How are you addressed in this email, etc. So there are just a few factors you need to know, but you have to train the people. That was a very clear statement by Markus Wagemann, Connected Systems, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit longer and asking Mr. Meiswinkel, Connected Systems, why are the mean of choice when it comes to the requirements of the future? In that scenario, there are only two different approaches. That's slightly ideological. Either you believe there's a one-size-fits-all solution. There's one solution that's the best solution for everything. That might, if that's your position, but we don't believe in that. We think that's absolutely unacceptable. We think that our customers, the integrators, those who are no more interested in security, they need tailor-made solutions, and they should look for the best provider, the best software. And then it's the task of connected systems and platforms to bring it all together in order to give the customer a harmonious solution, so heterogeneous system landscapes, and they should be harmonized. That's my point. This is why they're an alternative to openness, integration, and data exchange. You can call it unification or integration. You can call it this way or another way, but basically we're talking about a closed circuit line, and this is why it needs to be protected. It's very complex, but data sovereignty is also something that needs to be mentioned here. The question oftentimes arises, who is the owner of a certain information and what am I going to do with it? So an open integration, connected systems, that's our approach. Which obviously will also be shown on the occasion of Security Essen in less than a fortnight. It's going to start and you will have a booth there. So now you have the one-off opportunity to also advertise a little bit your activity at the occasion of the trade fair. Well, we're very excited. It's difficult to believe. We were started off in '98 with 300 or 400 square meters of a booth, and now we are so much bigger. And we would always try to show something new at every trade fair. We use the pandemic to make an innovation leap. And we have a new platform, our new platform, and we are really convinced of our new product. And we are saying we are maybe not the best company for everybody. Maybe there are customers who need a different solution. But we cannot only customize our software, but our original solution was further developed into an open platform with many possibilities to connect other systems. So you can have customer-specific, tailor-made or industry-specific solutions that you can add to our product. And we are also pleased to show the integration with robots for innovation or watchdogs, or we also have a developers booth where you can have a first-hand impression of how programming is done. And there are many partners who will join us for the trade fair. And we are really excited, and we are going to have 4 very exciting days. And we're going to get started soon. Yes, it's obvious that you are looking forward to the trade fair. Markus Wagemann was listening up when we were talking about research being done at the booth. So the question is, what does your federation do at your booth? What can we expect when we visit you? We don't have the product that we sell as a federation, but our strength is that we are united, that we are a network. And we'll have many representatives of our regional associations who will be there. Many managing directors will be on site, also from the field of research. And it's going to be very interesting. And our competence centers are also very interesting, and what we have in store with regards to training and further training, but also traveling safely and espionage and many other topics that we are dealing with. And protecting the economy is a broader term, but it's very dear to our heart, and we invite everybody to pass by to visit us for a glass of water, or later on also some other beverage. You always have very interesting stories to tell. I can only encourage you to go and visit them. The Federation. Markus Wagenam, Jan Meiswinkel, thank you very much for this great second talk. These were the insights for you at home on the screens and for everybody else. And please, if you want to ask questions, feel free to ask these questions and to let us know about your questions. So thank you very much.
And thank you very much. As always, we have 1, 2, and 3 discussions. We're going to have a debate with the manufacturers. With us here is Urban Brauer, Managing Director of BHE. It's an association, and Axel Schmidt from Salto Systems. Both of you have arrived in such a good mood. Wonderful to have you here. And our guests here have been able to convince themselves of that as well, and you are looking forward to the exciting trade fair. Security technology is a very exciting and versatile topic. Security technology covers various applications and trades. We have already talked about changes, developments. Have you witnessed that in the individual trades as well? Thank you very much for your kind words. Good morning. We, as BHE, the Federal Association of Security Technology, we mainly talk about electronic technology, and there was considerable growth in 2021, which is not as high as IT security. The market isn't that big as in IT security, but nevertheless, we have growth volume, or sales volume of about 5 billion euros, which is an increase of 4.5% in the previous year. Of course, it varies. We have the area of video surveillance with a growth of just under 8%, access control systems of Mr. Schmidt, which Mr. Schmidt is representing, which is about 9%. And then on the other hand, we also have the intrusion detection technology, that's where most of the companies in our association come from. Intrusion detection is an area that was able to compensate for the decline in the previous year. We now have a slight increase of 0.6%. So overall, we're satisfied with the developments. Well, yes, 9% is something that Mr. Schmidt is happy with too. Yes, we were very, very satisfied. We even grew further. In Germany, we grew by more than 30%. Very high level in Germany. And this year, because of the crisis, figures are slightly lower. We now have a growth of 8%. But you're really not unsatisfied, are you? How satisfied can you be considering the lack of skilled labor? We already addressed this previously. What is your general mood? Unfortunately, that's also a huge problem in our association. The industry is seeking employees, and we've had this problem for many years, and it's even getting worse. People often believe that the main reasons are the supply chain, but a lack of skilled labor is also a major problem. We conducted a survey in our industry, and 61% told us that they are looking for staff and that they would like to hire staff if they were able to do so. Mr. Schmidt, as a representative from a company, do you feel that sales figures might be lower because you don't have the staff that you need? Yes, that will certainly affect us. We are still generating good sales, but we're not producing as much as we could. And for instance, I've posted a job ad about 4 weeks ago, and I didn't get one application, or the only applications that I got were from people who come from the wrong industry, who don't have anything to do with this business. And the platforms that are out there don't provide us with very many good applicants. The first thing they say after training is, what about my work-life balance? Could I work 4 days or 3 days? Unfortunately, some of the young people are not that willing to work as much as they used to be. Well, maybe the trade fair will be a good opportunity to fill your vacant positions. Your industry is exciting. You have new products, you have new trends, novelties, and things that are of interest to the press. What could be interested for skilled workers? What novelties do you have? I'm looking forward to the new generation coming. I see it with my own kids. They can't live without their cell phone. And the trend in security technology is controlling, operating, programming devices by means of mobile devices. It used to be PCs or configuring. Now people configure devices on iPads. All of the manufacturers are working according to these new trends. Now, many don't want to install apps. They have to install apps for this or that. And in the future, web apps are going to be popular. You don't have to download your own apps. You enter apps through browsers or the smartphone wallet. You can get your access card and store it on your wallet, your access key on your wallet. But the security level is almost higher than it is when you use a physical key. You mentioned the work-life balance and other things that young people are interested in. Fridays for Future Sustainability. Do companies have to be sustainable? Yes, absolutely. Salto is among the top 24% of companies in the area of sustainability. That should be a good asset, a strong point. Yes, that's true. We've been becoming more sustainable for many years. Carbon neutrality is important. The EcoVadis study stated that we were amongst the top companies in the area of sustainability. We reduced our carbon footprint considerably in Germany. Electromobility, electric mobile vehicles, but also reducing paper. We saved about 90% of the paper that we used to use. But it's not just about production. Everything starts in development. We try to develop products in a way that they are sustainable in terms of their life cycle, not just in the area of production, but in their entire life cycle, which can be 15 to 20 years in access control. And at the end, things work well if the products have a long life. When we talk to the other exhibitors, you are going to be with us and show us your product. But Salto is specialized in access control. Dr. Bauer, that's what you already mentioned at the beginning. When equipping an office building or a house, what should you consider in the area of access control, or your area? Well, when objects or buildings have to be secured, you should conduct a risk analysis first. What is the current situation? What are the risks? And based on that, you can define a target dimension. What targets do you want to achieve with the security technology and with the measures to be implemented? If you agree with the contract partner and with the client, then you can develop a security concept. This security concept
has to be defined for each individual building. And in addition to access control, you have things like video surveillance, fire alarm systems, IT security, intrusion detection technology. All of the whole range of electronic security technology has to be reconsidered to decide how the security concept can be rounded off. The door itself has to be intrusion resistant as well. And it's important to involve the expert companies at an early stage during project planning. When the designer or the specialist has to start work after everything has been designed and decided already, it's very difficult to, influence the concept. Let's talk about the future of security and get a bit philosophical. How does the future look like? Mr. Schmidt, if you want, you can also talk about the prototypes you're working on behind closed doors. Everything is going to be kept secret here. You know, at press conferences, things are always kept secret. I'd like to mention a risk scenario. We all know Alibaba and Amazon worldwide that like to offer smart home and security products. And at other trade fairs, electrical trade fairs, for instance, you see that companies launch products that don't have anything to do with security technology. But, for instance, I got a request from a reporter from Berlin who wanted a biometric cylinder with a specific code that we were supposed to look at. I'd never heard about it before, and he said they got it from he found it from various providers, but it was always the same one. It came from China. In addition to the fingerprint, it required a PIN code, remote control, and also cloud-based for 89 euros. 89 euros. And I told this man, have you ever lost a key? And did you get a new key for your cylinder lock? 39 euros, only the key. Well, a good key, fingerprint, scanner cost 500 euros. The one that he got only lasted for 89 days. And we had the biometrical fingerprint reader had the quality of 3-digit PIN code. 3-digit PIN code is something that you don't even have on your bicycle lock. That can be hacked within 5 minutes, 2 minutes. And everything was stored in a Chinese cloud with your fingerprint. I mean, this is something you definitely should not buy. And that's a risk that many technologies have that don't come from the security industry, but from other third-party industries and that are offered in the security market. Thank you very much for that interesting interjection. That's definitely something we have to consider. Dr. Bauer, the future of security, what would you like to add? What will the future look like? We just heard of the challenges. Well, the general trends were mentioned by the previous speakers, Mr. Meiswinkel, who has been in our BHE organization for many years. In the 1990s, for instance, the topics were digitalization, networking. In the past, we thought of management system, but now networking is something much more, connected. And with regard to the scarcity of labor, companies are considering how maintenance services can be improved. And the future can be predicted by designing it yourself best. That's what companies are doing, that's what associations are doing, and that's what we will be able to see at Security Essen. Thank you very much to Dr. Urban Bauer, to Axel Schmidt, and we'll see you later when we have the exhibitor interviews. Now, if you don't have a chance to be there personally, we're going to take you with us. The live stream will be able to provide you with some visits to exhibitors. We're going to talk about innovations, about great products. But if you don't have time, if you have other appointments today, you can check the live stream website, the website of Messe Essen as well. You'll be able to see the information and the clips, video clips there. Okay, now let's continue with questions and answers. I'd like to ask the journalist in the room whether we have any questions. We've been here for 60 minutes only, but we did receive some questions digitally, but please feel free to raise your hands if you have questions in the room.
So Markus Wagemann is the first one who will stand up to your questions, and he's already coming up to the stage. One topic that we haven't mentioned that much for now, but it's very important for the end users. We're talking about tips and tricks. And we're talking about working from home. A question to Mr. Wagner. Can you give us 3 tips for a secure IT when working from home? I could give you 30 different hints. First of all, talking to your employer, because when you work from home, it doesn't mean that the employer doesn't have to take care of you anymore. His diligence is still valid. And what can be done in terms of training or hardware can be provided by the employer, for instance. And then something very trivial. If you connect via your Fritzbox or your router, no matter the provider, change your password once in a while. It don't always take the same time. There were tests that had recently that had the outcome that a huge number of people never changes and always uses the same password. That would be the first step. Starting with your own password. Make sure that it's a protected, a strong password. You don't have to change it every month, but make sure that it's a secure, a strong password. And as we're speaking of it, you all have your password apps. It's all very nice. I also use them. But if there's a hack into the system and the system is no longer available, your password app is no longer available. And I also have a booklet, a book, where I write my passwords down manually. Because, I mean, how many accounts do you have? I have at least 80 different accounts. And once your passwords are lost, it's really tricky to get them back. So that's the first thing I'd like to recommend. And then there are federations, associations. There are always there's always someone you can turn to, also officially. And you can also always consult the internet. Workation, that's a very current trend, and this is something I'd like to raise. I mean, I can travel to a vacation spot, and I mean, I like to be sitting there on a promenade with my business laptop, working whilst sunbathing. But it might be that a competitor's colleague is also on that same vacation, and he says, "Sorry that you need to work, but thanks for giving me all the information that I'm just seeing from your laptop, on your laptop." A secure vacation workplace, what would it look like? This is the same like traveling securely. You have a lot of information on your laptop. And one tip is don't log on to the Wi-Fi of the hotel. And if I'm on a workation, discuss that with the IT department of your employer before that. Some ideas have very unrealistic ideas. I mean, people post about watching a sunset and working at the same time, and that's having a glass of wine at the same time. It's a very nice idea, but using the beach hotel Wi-Fi and sending data back and forth, that's really negligent. That's not a very good idea to do. No virus scanner will help in that case. Thank you. There are two more questions to the Messe Essen. Oliver P. Kort, can you come up to the stage again? The first question deals with the international character of the exhibitors. I'm sure you are the person to tell us something about it. What is the structure? Can you say something about the group of exhibitors? I don't have the exact number. Ms. Jakob would need to help me. She has the numbers. Security in the reload of security is rather European. It's not so much of a global trade fair this year. And this is understandable because in Germany, the trade fairs that have taken place since 15th of March, they are slightly smaller than in the past. And the Asian countries are not represented, for instance. On all the leading trade fairs, the Chinese are missing, are not represented. Well, they have been an integral part of all the trade fairs in the last couple of years. But they don't come to Europe anymore to be in a lockdown for 3 weeks. So that's part of the problem. And the Security Essen trade fair also had to cope with that. But Ms. Jakob, can you say a few words on the numbers? During the last trade fairs, we usually had 50% of exhibitors coming from abroad, and now we have 36 countries. That's slightly below the figures of the past. I'd say it's 40 to 45% of the exhibitors who come from abroad. Thank you very much for these figures. So this also answers this question. And the next question relates to the exhibitors as well. The number of exhibitors that declined from 1,100 to 400 exhibitors. And I'd like to ask you this question. The fact that the number of exhibitors has decreased, does that have an impact on the representativity of the trade fair as a marketplace of the security industry? How can this declining exhibitors be compensated? Or how have you compensated it? This is a very justified question. All in all, we are very happy that in all the clusters we are offering, we have a representation of the top providers, top players in the industry. But there is still a different situation in the economy at large. The overall conditions are still difficult when it comes to carrying out a trade fair. And the budget was discussed intensively last year. That was a leftover of the pandemic. Only on 15th of March were we allowed to open our doors again, so to speak. And that made an impact on the decisions of very important players. But we are very grateful that important partners here, Honeywell, for instance, they've come back. And they have a large stand, Salto Systems, Telenode, and others, Deutsche Telekom Security, amongst many others. And they're using the platform. And we assume that there will be a trend in the other direction. And we are having this experience with the other trade fairs as well. The average of visitors is 72 or 73% of the visitor numbers we had before the pandemic. So we're also expecting fewer visitors as compared to the past. That's a fact. Such is life, and we have a high-quality program for this trade fair. with very high caliber companies, and I'm sure that it's going to be a successful trade fair, which will start in a fortnight, more or less. I'm looking around, I see happy faces, that's good. I don't see any questions that would like to be raised, so I'm going to wrap it up, and we have finished in the 60 minutes we were allotted, and it's been very entertaining, but I don't want to say goodbye without telling you that we're going to continue. We are going to visit Exhibitors in a minute. We're going to have an interview with them. We're going to give you a sneak preview on what you can expect from the trade fair. So it's definitely worth staying. All the documents are available on the live stream website. And I'd also like to thank you all for being our guests here on site, also connected via the internet, no matter what countries you're coming from. We also had international participants online, and thanks to our speakers, and a great thank you to the exhibitors who've come with so much lead time before the trade fair itself so as to present their products. We're going to need a few more minutes to get ready to go outside to talk to the exhibitors, but then we're going to start our first interview. Thank you. So, hello once more. We are ready for the first Exhibitors interview. And in order to... Well, why am I having this cushion with me? It's the most beautiful place to store your valuables at home. Your cushion. It's a classic and it's the safest place. At least regarding my granny's opinion. Today it's no longer the place where people usually put their valuables, but you want to include it as good as you can in your home. And Rebecca Fuchs, she's a managing director of Balzwerk. Rebecca, you produce beautiful furniture that's used to store valuables. What furniture are we talking about? Hello, we are truly delighted to be here. We've had the problem ourselves that during the day we didn't know where to put our valuables, where to store them securely. And this is why we have this board. It opens towards the bottom. I'm going to show it to you. Of course, we want to see how it's done. It's a magnet. It's a magnetic lock. It's also available with RFID, a chip card, a transponder card, or a handy app, cell phone app. There are 3 lengths, 60, 90, and 120. We are a manufacturer, and this is why we can produce all the different dimensions, whatever you want. How secure is such a lock? I mean, the insurance company says if there's a burglary and people want to break in, do you meet the standards? With that product, it's only furniture for storage. It doesn't have an insurance coverage. But time and time again, we have asked ourselves that question, and then we produced a different and designed a different product, a safe. I'm going to show it to you in a moment, and the security standard is very high. We have a certified weapons cabinet, category 1, so you can store them in there, and 65,000 is the insurance coverage for private households and 20,000 for business purposes. So you have the insurance company gets to us if you want to have an insurance coverage, and we take the insurance out for you. We solve all the red tape. So here we see pieces of jewelry, money. Here we've got the 500 euros notes. If you were part of the press round, Markus Wagemann mentioned the example with the 500 euros notes. I mean, there are some notes missing to reach the amount we mentioned. Oh no, we're going to stay here. Something really crazy is just going on here. This opened without a magnet. We have different locking mechanisms. One is a Bluetooth app. It connects to Bluetooth. You just need your smartphone. And the lock manufacturer is based in Austria, but they develop the apps themselves, so it's all safe and secure. And you can have it with the different products, no matter what lock type you want. You can get it. So that seems to be running smoothly at Balzwerk. We don't only have the 500 euros notes, but some dollars and even gold is what they are maneuvering. And you just mentioned a very sensitive topic, and that's arms and weapons. Can we have a look at the requirements that need to be met? This is our Balz block, as we call it. So we had the request to look into different possibilities of storing arms, different types of arms, and we had the idea that we wanted to put a safe into the slider board. It wasn't that easy as we thought at the beginning, but we managed. This is our Balz block. It's available in 3 sizes for short arms and as a safe medium size, 130 centimeters and 160, so in different sizes it's available. And you can push it open. Here you see you can lock it with a key. We had the problem that the lid is quite heavy, 38 kilos in this case. There are other safes that have a lid that has a weight of 65 even. We have a kind of cushioning. It's a protected system. That was something that cost us a headache developing it, but it's all done. The customers are happy, and yes. Well, and this is why Balzwerk is also happy. They are a manufacturer. This means they come up with individual solutions. If you need them, turn to them. And just a quick question: are there any limits, or no matter what interior product? I mean, it's all different. And can you adapt to all the questions? Yes, we can do everything. We decided for white, black, and oak. But we have produced everything. We have integrated into wardrobes, in bedrooms, in kitchens. As we manufacture ourselves, we produce ourselves. It's different from a run-of-the-mill product. We have our customers. We take pictures of where the product's supposed to be located, etc. And only if everything's a fit and it's been integrated successfully into the environment, that's when we start to produce. So this is really excellent. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Thank you very much for watching, and we're going to continue with the next exhibitor interview. Stay tuned.
And we're going to continue with well, it's not really a novelty, it's a tablet that can be opened or accessed with a fingerprint, and it's supposed to work with touchless mode. It doesn't work for me, but after having touched it, it does open, and I'd like to talk about the 3DR, and which has something to do with biometric technology. It's something that we talked about during the press conference. Here is Bernd Bata next to me. He's from the company that built this. Bernd, how is this possible technically? What does 3DR do? Sorry, he's not using a microphone. We cannot hear the speaker. Well, it works with touch, and the difference is a 3D picture is taken, it's encrypted, so only encrypted. Well, let's talk about the technology, and in this connection about how secure this is. It's very, very secure, because what you just showed me with the scanner on the smartphone is something else. This is only a verification and not identification. What we do is identification. We have 3 cameras at the bottom. The finger is scanned from the side, from various angles. Also has something to do with speed. You don't have to turn it, you just stick in the finger and it is scanned from 360 degrees. And that's really the highest security level that you can achieve in this industry. And I can imagine that you at home might want to use this where touchless, for instance, in the areas where mass events, huge events, where touchless biometric systems could be used. What's the added value, really? Well, we have customers from many, many industries, hospitals, secured buildings, for instance, nuclear power plants, data centers, banks. We have secured a lot of banks with this technology. But we don't only have 3DR. I just saw something else that looks very interesting design-wise. I have no idea what this is, but it looks great. And I just noticed that when I move my hand through this device, something happens. But I always see the error message on the screen. This is a new product which won a technology award in Las Vegas. We developed it for buildings that have to cope with large amounts of people at a high security level. For instance, in the chemicals industry or automotive industry, where you have a change in shifts, where thousands of people, for instance, enter the building and go out, that's what it has been built for. 4 fingers are scanned, and according to the security level, you can decide, for instance, that only 1 finger is scanned or 4 of them. And the light that you just saw is quite intense. I didn't know how the surroundings were, but if it was darker here, you would reduce the light that we just saw. Wouldn't be that light. But it's a great solution, Bernd. Thank you very much. And we'll have a chance to visit you. TBS is definitely worth visiting. Thank you very much to Bernd, and thank you to you watching. We're going to continue to the exhibitor number 3.
Digitization is progressing. Of course, the products are getting increasingly smart. You know, smartphone, the smartwatch, there's virtual reality, and so on and so forth. But have you ever heard of a smart pepper spray? I personally haven't, and this is why it's very good that I'm standing here with Plegium, because they have a smart pepper spray. He's business development, head of business development, Mr. Moiser. Can you tell us what is the extraordinary feature of this smart pepper spray? I asked myself the question as well when I started looking into that topic, and I asked an inventor. This is Henrik. Our pal is Carl, and he asked, how did you come up with the idea? And the answer was very unequivocal. I have 2 daughters, he said, and when they had reached that age where they wanted to go party at night, I wanted to be able to reach out to them. And they live in Stockholm, and there are some areas you shouldn't go to at night, and this is why we wanted to invent a device that's very easy to be used, but at the same time they can get in touch with us. And now we're standing here, and we want to really sell many of our products on the at the trade fair. And we want to know more about this pepper spray and what do I have to do in order for it to work.
So I hand over to Henrik in this case, who is the CEO at.
So first of all, if I have the pepper spray, I think because it's a smart one, I have to install it somehow. Can you explain what I have to do?
Sure. So this is the device. It's called the Smart Pepper Spray, and it's a normal pepper spray inside of this package that blinds the attacker, but it also has a siren and an LED. The siren attracts attention, and the LED helps you aim if it's dark. But it's also connected to your phone via Bluetooth. So you have an app on your phone where you pair your device, and you also enter your emergency contacts. That's all you have to do. It only takes 1 minute. And what happens when you fire the pepper spray is your emergency contacts get a text message showing your GPS location, and they also get a phone call. And you can test the device. I don't want to do it since we're inside. So
just let's do it. It's okay. So is it actually noisy?
Yeah, it's pretty noisy. Let's try it. Okay, so very noisy. And then my emergency contacts. Yeah. So Manfred.
I got a phone call. Help, it's Henrik. I'm in trouble. Please give me an alert. And then I get in parallel, I receive his GPS contact showing me where it happened. And there we see Salto and Messe Essen. That's where Henrik is in trouble now.
This way, I can get help from my emergency contacts immediately, and the attacker is also blinded. And very soon we are launching a service where the signal goes also directly to the police.
All right, so I'm wondering if you have any real use cases that we can talk about. Do you have maybe 1 or 2 examples?
Yeah, we have a few actually. So we've had a few people report to us that they have fended off home intrusions. So they were robbed in their home, but they used our device and the robber disappeared. But then we have actually a very aggressive attack that happened in Stockholm, Sweden, where a young girl was attacked by multiple men. It was a sexual assault situation, and she was fairly drunk, so she actually missed the eyes of the attackers. But since it sent her GPS location to her mother got a text message in the middle of the night showing that her daughter was out in a park. She called the police, and the police went to the location of the incident and actually stopped the attack. So she got away unharmed because of our device.
So that's the benefit of a smart pepper spray. So just to bring it to an end, Manfred, am Ende, wie transportiere ich das Ganze denn überhaupt?
Can I transport this pepper spray? Do I put it in my handbag or in my jacket? There is a magnet lock, which is really smart. I can carry it that way. I can also put it in my backpack when I'm hiking. It's an outdoor application. They can also put it into a woman's handbag. And there are different colors so that it's easier to find it. There isn't only black, but there are many different colors. The ladies really appreciate the different colors. Well, speaking of taste, there's something for everybody. But at the end of the day, what is important that it is efficient when it's needed, bringing about personal safety. So, there will be more information on that at the Security Essen, and you can also have a look at the manufacturer's website. Thanks to Plegium, thanks for listening. We still have 1 or 2 Exhibitors interviews in store for you. During the press round, we've already been speaking about certain topics and some products who are apparently very much demanded, at least. This can be seen taking your sales figures. What products are we talking about and what's relevant for the trade fair? I only brought 2 products. One has to do with sustainability, our special cards, particularly in those industries where there's a lot of wear and tear. For instance, students, residential homes, hotels. We sometimes have 10 to 20,000 for a Hilton hotel, for instance. And we want to dispense with the plastics it contains. It's made of bamboo or different types of timber, other materials. And the electronic is stored in the cart, but the cart is of a higher value, and the customers don't take the carts home, or they take them home as a souvenir, but it's more sustainable as compared to plastic carts. And they smell different. It's a natural material, and there's nothing more beautiful than the smell of wood. This is the paper card. You might be aware of the magnetic strip cards that were used in hotels. This is the same old-fashioned paper card, but it's a higher quality. That's really interesting. Not everybody has this locking mechanism at home or in the office, but they're increasingly used for in different occasions. And we've been speaking about contact-free, touch-free locking systems, and you don't have to do that much manually anymore. At the trade fair, we have a dedicated product for the residential market, for residential buildings. It's called Home Lock, and it features Apple Access, so a touch-free opening by smartphone without having to do anything. You just hold it in front. We are live, and I try to show it, but it doesn't work. Well, I don't know why, but these things happen. Maybe it's open. No, it isn't open. I'm holding the smartphone in front of it, but it doesn't want to open. Now you've got it. And he says, try again, because it didn't work in the first place. I'm trying it again, and it doesn't open. It worked the whole time, but now it doesn't. For whatever reason. Well, such is life. The underlying idea is that it will be available at the trade fair at the latest. Now it turned green and the door opens. That's how it's supposed to work. Maybe you have too many technical devices in the same place. Well, that's really exciting. And you just said you only have 2 products that you brought for the preview. What about your booth? What do you have there? Integration is a topic that we also mentioned during the press conference. We have many different pieces of integration that we are going to show. Video surveillance, access control, and bell systems, intercom systems, etc. So we have connected systems of many different kinds, many different areas. We work together with Gantner. It's a different company we work with. Postal delivery places, and we also have canteen assessments. So we have one card at the trade fair, and we can open everything with it. That's for sure. You don't want to have a whole package of cards, but I have a couple of cards here, because these are great products you've already been speaking about. Thanks, Axel. And I see that I've just received something. I haven't ordered anything. Well, what is that? What might be in this little parcel? Doesn't look like pralines, like candies, but I know someone who knows a lot about parcel services, and maybe he can tell me what's inside. We're going to hear more about that during the last talk in a moment.
And here it is, the package, the parcel that I didn't even order. I have no idea what it includes, but I know somebody who can help me. And that's David Fulmer. He's the managing director of the Univa Group. I got this package now. That is normally something that I shouldn't be worried about, but what dangers that can be associated with a package delivery. Well, our customers are mostly not private persons, but offices, authorities, prisons, and companies that are sometimes exposed to threat via mail. Various substances, explosive, powder attacks, and drugs, for instance, that are sent to prisons, which cannot be detected with the normal, ordinary methods. Well, what is the difference? We know X-ray scans and that parcels are scanned for metal pieces, for instance, but what's the difference in mail secure? It's a great technology that we're going to sell. It doesn't replace X-ray technology. It can be used in addition. We can scan an envelope without rays. When you X-ray it, you need an expert because of radiation protection. You need a radiation protection officer, but we can use T-ray technology and scan an envelope in real time and make threats visible. Well, we'll have to try this out now and practice. What do you do? Well, normally you get more than one letter. How quickly can you analyze the mail? Of course, this is training, depends on training, how quick you are, but we can work with it in real time. That's the big advantage. So I put the envelope on the device. It was supposed to contain paper, but it does not contain paper, so now you look into it. You can also add filters depending on the substance that you're looking for, but it works in real time, and that's the most important thing, so you know immediately whether you should open it or not. That's what it's about. What threats are the ones that you work with? What substances do you look for? What are the limits? What can be detected? What cannot be detected? The Department of Home Security in the United States tested this device. They have a device that can detect the 9 areas of risk, such as explosives, drugs, but also other substances, radioactive substances, for instance, and the device can detect all of them in real time. Now, we cannot penetrate. The picture is not as clear as it would be with an X-ray device, but you can see small amounts. That's a good thing. In prisons, for instance, or sometimes only small amounts are enough to create a huge threat. And even small amounts can be detected in this system. It provides real-time detection, especially in prisons. You are faced increasingly with the problem that paper, including drugs, is delivered, and that can hardly be detected with other devices. So that's what this technology can be used for. But you just mentioned that you need a lot of practice too. Let's pretend I'm a trainee and have to learn how to work with this. Let me take a look at the other test sample number 6. This is a letter. The first thing you have to do is put the envelope on this field, and it looks like paper. Does it look like paper? Well, there's something in it. You have to, of course, be trained to detect it. Now you can work with it in real time and move it over my hand next to the place where the rays are applied. And you can see that's the loudspeaker, that people like to use that. And such a small envelope can create tremendous damage. And you know that you shouldn't open it. It might include an explosive. I hope this doesn't have personal reasons. You gave this envelope to me. And we can also check whether it is paper. There we have various possibilities of scanning for different substances. Metal detection provides an acoustic signal. If something has been found, of course it's sad that you need to look into a mail and that such situations exist, but it's great to have this device. Thank you very much for this interview, and you can also test it at Security Essen. That will start soon. This ends our interviews with exhibitors. I hope you enjoyed the time with us and were able to gain some very interesting insights. We are looking forward to seeing you personally, hopefully, in 2 weeks from now at the Security Trade Fair. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.